doing my due diligence and helping explain what white privilege is to white guys. Zachary, a Trump supporter and an actor, creates a perfect opportunity to talk about how white privilege is a thing and also how white male grievance is also a thing. Like the idea that you're the victim and nobody else in the existence of the world is victimized in any way, shape, or form is brilliantly illustrated by this guy. Case in point, I felt peace because I knew that this was more important than saving my career. You have enough money and resources that you can do things like this. You can be controversial. You can say shitty things or incorrect things or racist or bigotry things because you've got the money and the resources. If you were to lose your job or a job, you'll have other options or will be able to rely on what you already have. That is an example of a privilege. He goes on to say, I think we too often fall into these paradigms, these thought processes of self preservation, and it is not good. We need to be wise, and we want to survive, and we want to live and flourish, and all those things, but we can't merely make decisions of, well, I hope nothing bad happens to me, you gotta sacrifice. Love it when people with privilege and opportunity and all these things are like the first to be like, what are you doing, lazy person? What are you doing, poor person? You should be doing better. Yeah, dude. Once again, your privilege, your very low talent was able to give you lots of resources, and now you think we all should just align. You gotta sacrifice. That's easy to say when things aren't already bad in your life, dude. Like, it's so easy to say you have to sacrifice, and that might mean something bad happens. What if bad things are already happening in your life? Like, I don't know, racism or poverty or sexism. What if those things are already happening in your life? So you make it sound like, well, if nothing bad happens, like people don't already have something bad happening in their lives, that they're maybe not already dealing with challenges, but they should go ahead and sacrifice more. And this is my favorite part that perfectly illustrates Levi's privilege. What am I really afraid of at the end of the day? That I'm somehow going to lose jobs in an industry that I already believe is completely falling apart and that won't even be creating jobs for me in a few years anyway? Why will it not be creating jobs is just a side note for you. Are you talking about like white guys? Conservative white guys? Like, what are you talking about? Why would it not be creating jobs for you in a few years anyways? Because you're going to get older? Like, I really want that explored. Come on, if I lose all of my acting career, and I hope I don't, and so far I haven't, I mean, that's disputable. But none of that matters if the world goes off a cliff. What does it matter? So in this example, if the world goes off the cliff, but he won't let that happen because of his privilege and his whiteness and his hetero-ness. He can go ahead and tell all of us that we're not being brave enough because we're not standing up for the way the world should be. Another favorite part of mine. Quote, and so it was like, listen, I'm not even giving up my life for that. Some people have died for that. Many people have died for that. If anything, my career dies, my acting career that I've been blessed enough to do for 25 years, if that's not on the cards for me, then okay, God, if I'm walking with God, God will protect me. Not even giving up my life for that. So there are people who have, he's not talking about, poor people or black people or women people or, people who've died in hospital rooms or died on the streets because they haven't had the resources or the food or the medication or mental health services or a whole plethora of things. He's not talking about those people who have died for their lives. He's talking about, because I'm translating white privilege for you, he's talking about like, army guys, like guys who have fought in wars for the American ideals. Those guys, those are the guys he's talking about that lost their life. And he is a lone little actor who has never done anything that important in his 25 years. That guy, he's like, I haven't even died for this. So at the very least, what I can do is speak my truth. No, dude. Translation, you have privilege, you have resources, you can say whatever the fuck you want because of those privileges and resources, and you probably won't face any consequences. If you were a black woman, it would be very different. If you were an immigrant who didn't speak English, it would be very different. But for you, it's all about the sacrifice that you made in your awesome whiteness. In conclusion, I don't understand, white men, why you don't see that the world is full of privilege for you, and that does not minimize the fact that something bad or traumatic may have happened to you, but that your skin tone or your gender or your sexuality or a plethora of other things are not what contributed or amplified those traumas. That is all that white privilege is. And we, as white guys, should be using that privilege to help other people. And while I know this guy thinks that's what he's doing, the problem is in the semantics. You are limiting people's abilities, you're limiting people's freedom. So if you, Levi, really believed, and I know you know gay people, I know you've worked with gay people, personally, I know you've worked with gay people. If you really cared about those other people, then you would be advocating for them. But what you care about is your belief, your religious belief, and you want that to be the norm for all people. If you were actually this great hero, this great activist, you'd be advocating for all people and not just white people and or the people who think like you. Thanks for coming to my white privilege TED Talk.